I always wanted to get into 3D printing, but at the time it was an expensive and difficult hobby. I would need to put in a lot of effort on setting up the device, making sure it's calibrated and start the print. Even after sending a print, it isn't guaranteed to succeed. But now I think 3D printers have grown from a hobbyist space to consumer space where anyone could buy one and get into it without much friction. I did a lot of research on what to buy and finally went with BambuLab P1S. I did look into Prusa, Ender, and Creality, but on reading reviews and user feedback, I found most BambuLab owners to be happy with their purchase. Some of them even upgraded to BambuLab printers and are really happy with their decision. BambuLab believes in the Apple ideology. They want their customers to have a specific experience which they think is user friendly, which means their software is closed sourced, their firmware is closed sourced, and their parts are also custom, such as the nozzle and some extruder, I guess. And you have to buy all of this from BambuLab themselves. But I think this ideology is good for a new adopter because if you don't know anything about the tech you're diving into, Apple is a good way to start. Android might just confuse them. So let's see if BambuLab meets that expectation. This is my first 3D printer. I've never owned or used another 3D printer either. I've seen a few Prusa Mark III S's being used by colleagues, but this is the first time that I am working with one. So this is essentially a noob's guide to 3D printing. I'm going to try to use my Quest 3 to record this so that my hands are free to handle the printer.
So there's this QR code here. So it tells me to drag the thing out the box. Okay, so basically they kind of tell you exactly what you're supposed to do for the setup. BambuLab says it's 15 minutes to set up, and after that you can start printing, which is way better than what most other companies do. Prusa sends you a kit which will take you up to 4 hours to set up, or you have to pay another £300 to get it pre-built. I'm just gonna set it up and let you guys know how long it took.
I've set this up here. The P1S comes with a textured PEI build plate that works with PLA and PETG materials even without using glue, which is great. So you can use both. And I got the P1S with the AMS, which is their automatic material management system. The console here is a tiny screen with buttons. There is a micro SD card slot on top to store model G code, and a few come pre-built in the box, including the 3D Benchy, which is a board used to benchmark 3D printers and diagnose issues. There is a more expensive model of the P1S, which is called the X1 Carbon or X1C, that has a touchscreen and also you can see the model that you're trying to print on the touchscreen. Now I have to put some filament into the AMS so I can test a print. Looks like they sent two spools in the box, an orange one and I think a green one. Let me try to put the orange one in the AMS. Okay, looks like I have to cut it open. So I put the filament from the vacuum seal bag into the AMS, and you kind of have to take the filament and guide it through the AMS extruder, and it kind of detects what kind of filament it is automatically if it belongs to BambuLab because there's some kind of RFID somewhere. Let's go over here and select the 3D Benchy to print. It says supposed to say how long and how much grams of filament, but I guess it doesn't know that. So I'm going to select it and it says ready to print and printing. So it shows me a total time of 26 minutes. You can see me wearing the Quest. Looks like the printer is heating up the nozzle and doing some calibrations. BambuLab printers have the automatic bed leveling feature. This is to ensure that the bed is level and the printed objects stick to the bed. One of the major causes of print failure is bed adhesion. Either the object is not sticking to the bed or coming off of it at a later point in time. So now it's starting to do some of the calibrations, moving the nozzle on the XY axis. This is a core XY printer, which means that the nozzle moves in the XY direction while the object and the build plate moves in the Z direction, which is up and down. And here is the filament. It's going to get pulled through the AMS into the nozzle, and then we'll start printing layer by layer. Let's come back to it when it starts printing.
Okay, now we're back. It is continuously feeding from the AMS and it's printing, and it's so fast. Like, I expected it to take much longer and I didn't expect it to move so fast. I'm actually feeling a little guilty with how fast it's moving. This might be because it's a specially created profile by BambuLab to print the Benchy super fast. So the quest completely failed me in recording. Initially it didn't record the audio, and later it just decided to corrupt the video. So I got nothing out of this. And after a month, I'm actually taking a video again to see the results because I didn't get time afterwards. So this is the Benchy that got printed. I had plugged my P1S to an Amazon smart plug, which was also connected to my PC, and in between printing it just died or reset. So you can see this line here, which is exactly where it stopped printing because it rebooted. But as soon as it rebooted, it understood that the power went out and it started printing from the next layer. So you can see this small kind of half print here. But the good part is that even though the power went off, it did print the rest of it. And you can see that it's printed very nicely. This is on super setting or ultra setting, which is the fastest Benchy that the P1S can print, which is around 22 minutes. And since this printed on a textured plate, which is what comes with the P1S, you can see that the bottom is textured and not smooth, but you can still see all of the lettering of the Benchy. And even the other details are really sharp. Quality is really good. And even though this is, printed at a later time, maybe after like 3 minutes, it's really strong. So since it's been a month since I printed this, I put this for print, a lot has changed. I've obviously modded my P1S quite a bit, and I'll make a subsequent video on it. But I do have more prints to show. So the one here is the Cubone skull. So this is from Maker's World. And this skull was printed with supports, which you can see here. These raised portions, they need support because otherwise it can't print. And the quality is really good, of course. One thing to note is because it's a 0.4 nozzle, the concentric layering on top is still visible, but still pretty good print, looks great. I also have printed this Pokeball. This is a 4-part model. So the black portion is first, and it is, you can open it. Black portion is first, then you print the red, white, and this thing in front. I had to stick this because it doesn't, it's not snap-on. And you can put a small filament, a part of filament through this to kind of create this opening. And inside I actually stuck a multicolor print of Pikachu. So you can see this Pikachu. The Pikachu took about a day to print, and the Pokeball took, I think, 4 hours because it's multi-part. The Pikachu is multicolor, which means that the AMS switches between multiple colors as it prints. So like, for example, on this layer, it would print some of yellow, purge the yellow, fill in red, and then start printing red, and so on. So this took a long time to print, but this is using The Pikachu is using the 0.2 nozzle, which I also bought as part of a bundle. So you can see there's like almost no concentric circles. It's very hard to see it. Yeah, and the quality of the Pikachu is really good as well. I also have printed this pumpkin. So this is like a crochet pumpkin, and the sound inside is actually an LED. So like this LED flame light thing. This also took quite a while, I guess around 6 hours. Again, amazing quality, and like it's almost impossible to see any imperfections. There's slight bleed of color because this does not have a purge tower or a prime tower, whatever you call it, purge block maybe. So there was a little bit of color bleed, but not really very significant. I also printed this entire vase and flowers. So these are like multipart roses. I got this, most of these are from either printables.com or Maker World. And this rose using pink filament, and thorn using the bamboo green, same with other colors, and this entire vase as well. You can see this line here, which is called a seam. So because when the printer moves like this, that's how it prints, there will be a small area where the seam comes in. There are ways to hide this. Some people paint over it. Some people, the Orca slicer, which is another type of slicer not owned by Bamboo, has a way to, there's a method called scarf seam or wipe on seam to kind of hide this as well. But this is just the default print from Maker World. This is a Legend of Zelda Master Sword. So it kind of stands like this. This is also multicolor, as in it doesn't come in multiple parts. I mean, it does come in multiple parts, but you need an AMS to print it. So the bottom block, this silver block, is one part, and then you can get these gold ones to stick on using super glue. But when you print the sword, this silver part is one block, this entire sword part is another block, but this hilt, you need AMS or something like a Prusa XL to print it, because it does switch between gold, blue and green to kind of print out the colors. You can't print them separately and combine them. And this is actually a pen, so you can put in a gel pen refill and kind of use it as a pen and keep it on the stand. There's also a full-sized Master Sword. It doesn't even fit on frame, and you can see this is Multipart. So I think it's around 25 or 26 parts. I actually created a print profile on Maker World for this exact Master Sword. You don't need an AMS for this. You can put in multiple colors at different times and print this. You need silver, gold, blue and green, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And it's full Master Sword, pretty hefty as well. So yeah, these are all the stuff I've printed. I've actually printed a lot more, but I don't even know where most of them are. Some of them have gone as gifts, some of them I'm actually using, some of them are part of my 3D printer now, which will come in the mods section on a later video. So yeah, this is what I've been doing for the past 1 month, I guess. And I think the BambuLab P1S is a really good buy, especially as a first printer. If you go on their website, you can see that you can get it with the AMS or without the AMS. AMS is a life changer. Even if you don't use it for multicolor prints, you can still use it to store different filaments so that you don't have to keep changing it whenever you want to print a different color. You can just keep 4 filaments which you use the most and then just select them whenever you want to print something. They have 2 more printers, mainly the X1C and the A1 and an A1 Mini. The reason why I got the P1S is because it's pretty much exactly the X1C, but cheaper. The only things you lose is a touchscreen and a LiDAR, which is used to detect for spaghetti, which is like when your print fails and it just creates spaghetti. But for the price difference, I would say P1S is a better buy. The A1 and A1 Mini are different types of printers. They are bed slingers, not like the P1S. And also if you want to print ASA or ABS, you need an enclosed printer. P1P is also a good decision to buy because it's also Core XY printer but doesn't have the enclosure, and the price difference is so low that it doesn't make much sense to buy the P1P. Overall, I would say P1S is the best 3D printer I've ever seen. In terms of support, software, and having their own website, I think BambuLab is the best one at the moment. And another reason why I think P1S is a good buy is because their new launch printer is the A1, which has had some issues with their bed overheating. So it's been pulled from the store. So it might take time until they fix that and release it again. And they are working on a new printer, which will be their next flagship. So X1C doesn't make a good buy right now. I would say either get a P1S right now or wait for the new flagship, which may be an XL printer, so you can print big things, or it might even have multiple extruders, multiple nozzles to print colors, so you don't have to keep switching between different colors each time you want to print a multicolor, something like the Prusa XL. So yeah, that's my entire review as a noob owner of a 3D printer. If you have any questions, you can ask in the comments, or I can put a different video on the mods that I've done. Thanks for watching.